being recorded.
What are you trying to accomplish academically? That is how every Trifera PD session begins. Our trainers take your specific goals, standards, curriculum, grade levels, and classroom technology to create fully custom, engaging, and immediately actionable training sessions in a way that promotes tech integration on a whole new level.
Hello, welcome in everybody. We're super excited for today's topic. I know it's a topic that I think everyone has been hearing quite a lot of for the past, at least a year, AI, and especially AI in the classroom. But today, instead of, talking about how to prevent kids from exploiting AI and whatever, we're going to talk a little bit about how you as an educator or or like a school admin, how you can use AI to help in your everyday workflows and use it as your personal assistant in the classroom. So just a couple housekeeping things. If you are indeed interested in getting that $5 copy gift card, I need you to stick around until the end to do our exit survey. That's just our way of knowing that you are here, you're engaged, you are real, and yeah, so just got to stick around and do that. Otherwise, if you have questions throughout the session, I will be moderating the chat. I'll be watching for any questions that you have for our presenters and getting those to them throughout the session. Otherwise, we'll have some time at the end to go through any questions if they don't come up until the end. So I will just pass it on over to Anna to kind of get us started today.
My screen here. Hi, everybody. With the screen, is that correct? It's nice to be here. I'm Anna. I'm part of the education team, and I'm joined here by Kristen and Scott, who will be telling you about themselves here momentarily. And I just want to welcome everybody. We are very excited to share this with you. We have a whole, this is part of our whole treasure trove of PD opportunities that we have that, we like to offer to our schools and to our educators across the country. We've got virtual events such as this, and we can also come in person. But I wanted to introduce myself. I have an extensive background in elementary education. I've spent 20 years teaching in elementary school. In my final few years, I specialized in gifted education and STEM. And that journey led here to this role with Trifera. And I do a lot of things here, but my favorite thing is helping teachers understand and integrate various forms of technology into their classrooms in really meaningful ways. So we as educators know the importance of making learning engaging and relevant for our students, and that's exactly what we're hoping to accomplish today with this webinar. I will pass it off to Kristen, and she can introduce herself as well.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kristen Dupuy. I am from Louisiana, specifically Prairieville, which is a little bit south of Baton Rouge. I am a former middle school English language arts teacher, and I'm one of the teaching and learning consultants with Trifera. So I do go around and offer PD for our schools, and it is great. And this is such an exciting topic that I'm so excited Anna invited me to be a part of.
Scott, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Scott Gennard, another teaching and learning consultant for Trifera. So excited to talk about this topic and how it can is blowing up everything in education, which who knew last August we'd be sitting here today doing a webinar on AI in education, right? But super excited to be here.
Yep. And, if you have any questions throughout this about anything specific, please drop it in the chat. Kate's going to keep monitoring that for us, and we will answer them the best we can as we go or towards the end. But we're going to get started right here, and Kristen's going to give us a very quick introduction on what exactly an AI chatbot really is and what it does.
Yeah, so we decided to spare y'all the details of the history of the AI chatbot. So like Scott said, I cannot believe that we are here when this time last year, there was no discussion of this, aside from what we know as far as our typical chatbot. So what we do know just on a base level is that it is an artificial intelligence that does learn and improve over time. It can respond to us. It creates responses and interactions that are very human-like. And of course, in the background, behind the scenes, the chatbot is searching whatever their source might be, whether that be a Google, whatever the platform that is driving it. So Anna, if you'll go ahead and go to the next slide. We do have the ones that you see displayed on our screen. These are the ones that we're really the most comfortable, the most familiar with. We have the Google, the OK Google, and the Hey Siris that are around. Also, I think Alexa's got a lot of hype, got a lot of supporters, and Cortana. I know my kids love the Alexa. Every question you can possibly ask it. They like the personality that is involved with these types of AI chatbots. But I will say that Merlin Mind that you see in the middle of your screen there is it's an AI for the classroom. So while the other ones are a little bit wide open and they don't have the security preferences that we would like to see in a classroom, the Merlin Mind technology does give that AI, but it's on a secure platform. So it doesn't have a personality. It gives you search results within the realms of your school's technology.
Yeah,
so we're good. Yeah.
And,
Sorry, pass it over to you, Scott.
Awesome. And the thing about this technology, like we said, who knew we'd be talking about this a year ago or even 6 months ago? It's moving so fast, but there's some awesome reasons that we can incorporate and use AI in the classroom. It's versatile. It can enhance productivity. It can improve communication. I use it all the time. And it's not just me, really everyone is using this. And the reality is that everyone is using it, students, teachers. So, it's really about, can we embrace it? Can we really teach our students how to use it effectively?
You're ready for me to move on. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
And when we are talking about these different platforms, and there's a ton of different platforms when it comes to AI, I really want to highlight a couple of the big ones. ChatGPT, as you know, it's that's kind of the one that everybody talks about. That was formulated by a company called OpenAI. It was recently purchased by Microsoft. They tons of great stuff, but there are some things to know. It doesn't answer questions with data before 2021. It has a ton of creativity, tons of flexibility, and we're going to be going into some examples of how to use that. Then there's Google Bard, which is Google's version of their AI platform. Some things that are really nice about that platform is you can directly export directly into Google Docs or directly into your Gmail or even spreadsheet formulas and things like that, which is awesome. It's also real-time information, so you can look up very relevant information, today's information, which is awesome. Some of the responses from ChatGPT are a little bit dated sometimes, especially if you're asking ChatGPT about AI or something like that, which is funny. And I would say Google Bard does have a higher level of accuracy and responds in a different way as far as its flexibility. And also, what's cool about Google Bard is it's embedded within the Google suite of tools for your school. So if you're already a Google district, you can control that from the Google admin portal, just like all the other Google apps in the suite. I'm going to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Now, here's a couple things to be cautious of. And there's more, but these are just kind of a highlighting. Like I mentioned, ChatGPT isn't always the most current information. It's only trained up to about September 2021. Interesting, you can ask it things like who's the current president and things like that, and respond in interesting ways there. Inaccuracies are not uncommon. I'm sure you guys have heard about all the different things about there. It's a lawyer who's copying and pasting from ChatGPT, and all of a sudden they get nailed because it's just basically completely made up content in there, which actually does provide some accessibility of refining for the teacher and accessing that for students, which is interesting. There's definitely a bias to be aware of on different topics that can present, and it has a limited worldview. And as with all things, really exercising and practicing that critical thinking is absolutely key in any of these AI platforms.
Okay, so we are actually going to kind of take a little journey and do some prompt engineering ourselves here. It's easy to talk about these AI chatbots, but sometimes it's just such a wide arc of concepts that it's hard to understand until you really dip your toe in it and just immerse yourself in the whole experience of what prompt engineering and what they bring back to you for ChatGPT. But before we start doing that, we just did want to go through these tips when you are putting your prompts in. It's important to be as specific as possible. This is not a Google box. You can put in things like context and scope and restraints. It's going to give you very specific answers back, but you need to let these chatbots know exactly what you're looking for. Now, you can go in after the fact and iterate and refine and experiment with it. But if you put a lot of thought into what you're asking at the beginning, you're going to have to do less of that as you go. But again, the ability for it to clarify, expand, and explain upon what you already put in there is wonderful, because it is a chatbot. It's conversational. It understands that the topic that you put in there is still relevant as long as you're staying on that same thread, which we're going to illustrate here in a moment. We do have this resource that is available to you. We had a bit.ly link at the very beginning of this presentation, and we'll have it again at the end. So this is linked to this resource, and this is just kind of a beginner's guide to engineering an AI prompt. And we kind of crafted this specifically for teachers. So if you start up here in the create a box, you can follow the map all the way around to craft yourself a really good prompt. So the example down here is create a lesson for second grade students aligned to NGSS about habitats. Include a STEAM activity, websites, and a quiz. That's a pretty robust prompt, but it gives you an example of something that you can put in there, and you might be pretty astounded at what it produces for you as a result. So without further ado, we are going to dip into both ChatGPT and Google Bard, and then Kristen is going to share some additional AI resources as well. So our first prompt that we're going to put in here, I'm going to put in this prompt that's create a lesson aligned to third grade math Common Core state standards about representing and interpreting data. Include a practice assignment. So I'm going to go to openai.com. And if you have not created an account, it's very easy to do. You just go to that website, openai.com. You're going to put in your email. Very quick, you're going to verify it, and you're going to be good to go. And it looks like this. It's a very simple interface. And down here is the box where you're going to put your prompt. So I'm going to put in what I just said, and it's going to generate this entire lesson that's aligned to the Common Core state standards that I asked it to do. It's going to have the duration. It's going to include the materials and all the instructional parts of this lesson. Now, I can read through this, and if I'm like, that's not exactly what I'm thinking, that's not exactly what I want, I can ask it to create another. And if I did that, I would just type in another, or I might say, create 5 more lessons. Or if I wanted a lesson that's less time or more time, I could put that in there as well. But for the sake of this demonstration, let's pretend that I'm super happy with this lesson. I like the practice assignment they gave me, but I do want to extend on it. So I'm thinking, I always like to do vocabulary with my class. So I am going to put in create a chart of 5 vocabulary words and definitions of this main concept. So it knows what main concept I'm talking about. It knows that we're still on this thread of third grade math standards about, interpreting data. So it's going to take out 5 vocabulary words and give the definitions. Now, if I had the specific vocabulary words that I wanted it to define, I could have put that in as well, but I just wanted to see what they would pull out for me. Now, we can move on to some assessment activities. And again, we're still on the same concept. And I'm going to say, create a 5-question quiz for this. And I could ask it to be multiple choice. I could ask it to be open-ended. I could ask it to be fill in the blank, and it would do any of those things. So it created this quiz for me, and it also gave me the answers, which is nice. Now, again, what Scott talked about, you need to go back through and proofread everything. You know, you can't just take everything at face value. You need to make sure that it is producing accurate information for you. You know, you do have some responsibility for that. When I was teaching, one of the biggest things that was difficult for me was modifying and extending for my gifted learners and my struggling learners. So I just put in the prompt, modify this quiz and include hints for students struggling with the concept.
Anna,
Include
can I
hints.
interject real quick?
Yeah.
Do you
Mhm.
mind spinning your screen a little bit? We've had somebody ask if they could see more of your results.
Oh, so I need to do what now?
Can
If
you
you could just
do?
zoom in, that'd be great.
I'm sorry, I did.
Zoom
What
in.
should I? Zoom my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yep. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay, I didn't hear Zoom. Perfect. So with this modification, this would be for my struggling learners, and it includes hints. So it's got, you know, what is data, and it still has the different questions, but then it has a hint down here that can help those students really, you know, empower them to be able to figure out the answer on their own. And similarly, I can enrich this quiz for my higher learners and put in, you know, more higher level questions.
Anna,
So, yeah.
we have a question in the chat right now about copyright concerns. So if you are creating quizzes and other instructional materials, what kind of copyright concerns should you be thinking about, if any?
That's a great question. Scott, can you speak to that? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, and you know, because it's a weird concept, but this material did not exist before it's created here. So at this time, and it's kind of the platform of OpenAI, all of the content for this, whether we're talking about Google Bard or this, is considered open license, and there are not concerns at this time around copyright issues. And anything in the future, there could be some point where there becomes a different version, but right now it's a completely open platform.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. So, you know, as we're going through this concept, we can really, you know, go into the weeds pretty far about this. You know, another idea that I had was, you know, list 5 centers or hands-on activities for this concept. Again, you can have it list as many as you like. You could be more specific. You could even, if you had certain manipulatives or certain materials, you could tell it that you have those and for it to create activities to go with those. Another cool part about this is, you know, I might be reading through these and I was like, oh, well, a data scavenger hunt sounds like a cool idea, but I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that. That's number 3. So I might put in there, tell me more about number 3. And it's going to go into much more detailed explanation about that centers idea, all about the data scavenger hunt. I don't want to take up too much more time, but some other examples that you can put in there are create a STEM activity or a STEAM activity. Recommend websites to reinforce this concept. Another one is bell ringers. You know, you can ask it to create 5 bell ringers. So, you know, every day when students are coming into math class, you've got that bell ringer up on the board already created about the same topic. Another fun one is you can ask it, I'm actually going to put this one in there, create 5 jokes or riddles about this concept. And they're corny, but what a cool way to raise engagement with your students. You know, they've been talking about data, which is not the most exciting concept in the entire world, but you know, you could start each class period with some silly jokes or riddles about that. And that's just a really fun way to, you know, increase the mood a little bit. And a final idea is, you know, maybe asking it to create a project-based learning activity. Because again, all of that sounds great in theory, but sometimes with these different subjects and these different concepts that you're trying to reinforce, it is hard to come up with those different hands-on, you know, project-based and STEM activities. And this is really just a tool that can help inspire and, ignite some ideas for both you and your students. And with that, I am going to give it back to Scott.
That is just so cool. It's so cool. One of the things I love seeing all the different incredible teacher applications to this stuff. And when I look at stuff like this, it's been a long time since I was a classroom teacher. I've spent the past 10 years as a tech coordinator and a principal and a tech director. So I kind of looked at it from a little bit of a different lens of like, man, how would I use this as a tech director or as a principal to start the school year off? So I created the prompt. So if you guys go to bard.google.com, you can sign in using your credentials. Can you guys see my screen all right? It's a content look okay? Do I need to zoom in or anything?
It looks pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this prompt. Let's say I'm starting the year off and I want to talk about this content with my teachers. Create an outline for a presentation that introduces AI and Google Bard specifically to teachers. Okay. So starting the year off, I want to talk about this from a concept. Awesome. Here's an outline for a presentation. Kind of goes into some detail. Now, let's say right here, I look at this, I'm like, you know what? I need a little bit more information. I could, in the prompt here, ask questions like, hey, can you give me more information? But one of the cool things about Google Bard is right here, I can modify that response and I can say, let's just make it longer. See what that looks like. And it's going to actually expand this presentation. And Google Bard is a large language model that can generate all these things. Excellent. I can see how that goes. I can see, you know what? Let's make this a little bit more professional in its stance. So I can just click a button and it'll kind of expand. I like that. You know what? I want to, can you provide some specific examples where middle school teachers, that was a middle school principal, can use Google Bard? So let's toss in maybe some examples that our teachers can use. Awesome. Okay, so we can help with research. We can do these things. All right, awesome. You know what? As I'm thinking about this, and I really want to kind of have this presentation for teachers, maybe I want to expand, and maybe there's some things that concern me. Maybe there's something that I should address for maybe students or teachers as we start the year. So, as I'm looking at this and I'm reflecting on it, maybe I want to kind of, I can go back, I can expand on what I have already done with the presentation, or I can even take it a step further and say, okay, write me a letter for parents discussing some pros and cons of AI in the classroom. And again, when I'm thinking of that principle, I've got 10,000 things to start off the school year from a standpoint. I can kind of look at these things and some of the things that we talked about as far as bias or privacy concerns. How could it go? I can even go up here and it'll actually even say view other drafts. So I can see, let's see a different draft. This one's okay, but again, what? Let's make it a little bit simpler in its language. And, I want to take this letter and add in a definition and introduction of AI in Google Bard. And it will just take that and modify it. And right now, as I'm going, there's this flow of conversation and thought process. And I can look at this and I can be like, oh, this is great. This is what I want to do. I want to send something out to my parents, and I can kind of take a look. And then let's say I really like this. One of the awesome things about Google Bard that I really, really appreciate, as you can see, it has sources right here that it's referencing. Again, if I want to modify it, I can modify it. If I want to look at some of the other drafts, I can do that. And then, so here's the other drafts that I can review. And then I can say, you know what, this is good. I want to put my flavor on it. Obviously, I'm not just going to copy and paste this, but I can click this, export to docs, and then right in my doc, here it is. I can make all those modifications, those customizations, everything that I want to do to really give it my voice embedded within this, which I absolutely love. And again, I can always go back to the presentation and I can say, it's just this thought process and this flow that I appreciate so much. Again, we all have 1,000 things going on in our lives, and a tool like this can be so awesome in embedding some of those concerns. And you can kind of address that with parents and with families as you go. And I get so excited about anything that can make my life a little bit easier, make my teachers' lives a little bit easier as I go. And for me, I just think that it's a fantastic tool. In fact, something else that I think is awesome is, let's say I like this letter. In fact, I can say, take this letter, and I can say, someone mentioned this translate. And when I was a tech director, we had a ton of Russian students and Spanish students. And so I can take this letter and translate into Russian. And there you go. Right away, it'll take that letter, it'll translate. Now, I wouldn't necessarily send this off right now, just like any other Google Translate. But what I could do is I could hand this to some of my Russian-speaking staff and give them at least a starting place so that they don't have to do the entire content. So I think it's just an awesome, awesome tool that, again, you can really use right as you're working on the material live. As I'm thinking of different ways that I can incorporate this, I can just, it's such a natural flow. And I can go back and forth into this. I can say, okay, let's go back to that outline for my presentation. And I can just kind of just get this flow of ideas. And within, 3 or 4 minutes, I can actually have something where I have an outline. I have letters to parents. I can even take something like this and, create a student manual on using Google Bard and AI responsibly. Use our school themes of integrity and grit. And there you go. I can have something, again, I can just take something like this. Here's this thing. We have our school themes of integrity and grit that we're focused on for the school year. Same thing as before. I can make it longer. I can make it shorter. I can make it more professional. And ultimately, when that's at a place where it's kind of refined, where I want to put my voice to it, all I have to do, take this, export it into a Google Doc, or export it into a Gmail, and boom, I can really create my voice using this. And it's just such an awesome time-saving tool that I get super stoked about. So yeah, I hope that this really kind of encourages you to really think of different ways that you might be able to use these resources and these tools to really streamline your process, and also think of different ways that you can be using this no matter what your role is. I get crazy excited about it, but hope I've given you a couple of ideas to use.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Can we pass the screen over to Kristen now, I think, and she's going to give us some additional, like, really inspiring and cool tools that, dip into this AI world as well. You're muted, Kristen.
I really, it wouldn't have been like a complete day unless I did that at least once, right?
I think I've done it about 5 times today. So
I mean, it just comes with the territory. Okay, y'all. So I am going to specifically show you some things that I had the pleasure of creating for a school out here for some PD that I offered recently. And I got lost in the rabbit hole of all the different AI that's available. So like Google Bard, the Chat GPT is great, but I wanted to know what could be used specifically as a teacher, not beyond just the back and forth. I wanted something that could take the time, give me some time back to be able to actually grade, to be able to prepare. So what you're looking at is a slide that I created that shows some of the resources that I found to be just ones that I wanted to put in my arsenal for getting ready for the school year. So I'm only going to tap into 2 of these, but I'm putting all of these out there as great resources. So slidesai.io will generate your presentations. I will tell y'all that I have the free version of it. Like, I mean, teachers have the free versions of everything. That's just what we do. And today I did my 3rd one, and it did prompt me to, hey, you might need to upgrade. But what it can do is really cool. So I'm just going to encourage you to go look at that one and see what it can do, because it is something that works integrated with Google Slides. CuraPod, I'm really hoping I have time to show y'all that. Slides Go is an AI presentation maker. So you would just go to that site that we have linked on this presentation, Slides Go, and you'll put in your content and it spits things out. Y'all, Canva, I know Anna and I are some Canva nerds. Like, I can play on Canva. I say play, build stuff on Canva all day. And with the Magic Write and Magic Design tool that they have embedded in that platform, it's just, y'all, it's crazy. Like, it will match your presentations and give suggestions. So if you're one of those teachers who likes to build stuff and keep things, pretty and whatever to get people's attention, Canva is great to be able to use as a Magic Write or Magic Design tool. I'm going to talk about Twee. Top AI, I will go ahead and click on that to show y'all that, because it is, it's a good resource. So this is really where I found some of the things I was looking at, and you can explore AI tools. So you can go to the education link and they give you some sources. I can't speak on all of them. I can only speak on the ones that I have done, but I just thought it was a good compilation of assets right there. All right, so I'm gonna go back out. I gotta get rid of this screen, y'all. How do I get rid of that? Hold on. Can y'all see my screen still? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to start with Twee, because I feel like this is the one that I have been the most impressed with recently. So I have some prompts already created. First of all, Twee is an AI source, or a source to be able to create content for me as a teacher. And this is what I like. I have options. Let me go to create tools. So I can create activities geared toward any of these. So reading, vocabulary, writing, speaking. I also can pull in videos and it will create content for them. So I'm going to show you just a couple examples. Excuse my speediness as I try to get as much as I can across to you. So just try to keep up if you can, if you're interested in it. I am going to first paste a YouTube video in here. So I'm going to go into here, YouTube video to text, although that's not really what I'm wanting. So let me back up. I want to do create questions. So I'm going to paste it. I just grabbed one from one of our arsenal of videos. I'm using that word today, apparently, from Trefera's YouTube. It does 5 minutes. I want to make it do ABCD questions. Ignore the sound that it just put on there. And it's giving me the questions. It also is going to provide the answers, which is fabulous. It's great. Now, you obviously, with any of these sources like Scott showed you, you can go in and edit the content. And like Anna said, it's really important that we look at the content, because I mean, it's a machine. It's not going to be perfect. You are the expert. That's one thing that these bots cannot take from us. The teachers are the subject matter experts. So any of these things, I would recommend you go look at. So let's just say I wanted to edit it, I could. But I like that TWE says, hey, you know what? We don't have to do the prompt engineering like the teachers. It's going to give me what I can do. So I want to create 3 summaries. And I feel like this could be valuable whenever I want to make sure that kids actually watch what I told them to. So I could do the 3 summaries. It's going to give me those. And you could turn this into an activity where the kids have to go into Google Classroom and possibly answer a question. So you can keep doing those activities. Now, another thing with TWE that I love is I want to show a reading activity. So videos are great, but I thought this was really cool to do the reading activity with, I'm looking at my notes, y'all. So I want to do reading, essential vocabulary. So reading, vocabulary, essential vocabulary. All right, so I was an ELA teacher. I'm going to ask it to create essential vocabulary based on figurative language. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Y'all, it gives me the words. It gives me some vocabulary. From here, I can give a text about it. I can do some words and sentences. I can do essays. So I think that pretty much shows the level. Now, y'all, this one I just kind of played with today. Writing. So, you know, writing is something that kids have to do in ultimately every subject now. I feel like it's not restricted to just ELA. So if I were to go into the writing tool, writing, and I were to do essay topics, which I mean, gosh, I was always having to do an essay topic. I want to do dress code in schools because I have 3 boys, one's going to college, but I have 3 that are actually still in high school. And I mean, let's be honest, kids are always concerned about dress code and they want to know the why and all the background. And Mama, did you have to wear stuff like this? So this is always a good like conversation or evaluation piece that you can argue. So we have the essay topics, which is great. I can take this and do advantages and disadvantages. Let's make it be advanced. All right, so like I'm thinking as a teacher, they give me the advantages and disadvantages. I can present this to kids and have them do research on their own. So it doesn't all have to be AI driven. You can use this to start the conversation and then put the ball in their court. I can obviously simplify, upgrade. But look, I like this because I spent a lot of time looking for text. I could look for the text, the genre. Let me do it as an argumentative article, keep everything the same. So it's going to take that topic, back it up a step, and give me the argument or the argumentative argument, whatever, you know what I'm saying, the argumentative article. And you can use that to present your lesson. So y'all, I totally encourage you to go to TWE to play with it. It's just one of my favorites that I have found so far. Okay, so let me find my other tab. I'm going to go to Curipod now. So Curipod, y'all, I know I don't have time to dive into this one, but I'm just going to show you it just in general. So you create an account for your first time. I just use my Google account. You can go to Discover and there are things already there. First of all, look at that. That's hysterical. So who can create the best meme? There was one that I did earlier, and this is what I love about it. So it's just, okay, first of all, it's SpongeBob. Let's just say we're going to get kids on our side there. But they have some ready-to-go tools, y'all. You can hit play. So I'm going to play it right quick. I'm not doing anything fancy. What it does, I'm going to mute it in case SpongeBob decides to laugh and distracts me. I am going to go into, can somebody read me the code? Because I can't see it with my screen. Do you see it?
I don't see it.
Okay, well, I should probably add students. So that's the code.
Oh, there, yeah.
I thought it was surely just hidden. All right, so I am in. I love that on the back end, it makes me put my real name in as a student, but everybody else sees me as a random. That way, when the teacher pulls reports, they can actually see who's doing what. First of all, that's genius, because how many times have we had to start stuff over? So I can go into my slides and emotions, and it's going to ask me this question. What emotions do you know? So if I hit this timer, which I can adjust, it's showing me these things on my phone. What emotions do I know? I know happy, I know sad, and I know angry. And it lets you do more than one. When I submit it, you can see that I've got, did somebody else join it? Yay, somebody else is in it. All right, so look, I had it, this one is obviously set to a word cloud. There's all kind of ways that you can do the results. You can make it be where you just pull them up one by one. You can make it be where students give you feedback of what they see. So it's very, very interactive. Desperate. Nobody here is desperate. I refuse to believe that. So I am going to just go to the end lesson, and you can see that it's going to create me it's going to give me some results. But when I go to my home, I can pull those lessons, and I won't go into it because of our time, but y'all, you can also create. So you can generate slides. I really, really like the activate prior knowledge. Y'all, it's just go play with it. I mean, teachers are so good at you're going to get lost like I was. So anyway, that would be Curipod. Again, that is in our webinar. The link is, and I'm just going to move to the next slide. Is that okay, y'all?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
Yeah,
we have like 1 more minute.
Okay. All right. So look, here we are. Did it show? Am I doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Kristen. Anna is here. Scott is there. That's our contact information. Y'all, we love to share this kind of information with y'all. We all 3 of us, and we have a team of people. We love to come on campus to do things virtually or on site. We are your PD people, and we get excited. And obviously I'm a nerd, and I'm way too excited about this stuff. But that's AI in a really small nutshell.
it is easy to go down the rabbit hole, isn't it? And we also have the bit.ly down there that has this whole presentation on it, and links to the different resources that we shared as well.
I do want to address one question I saw on the chat about, and we probably definitely want to have this be part of an ongoing conversation around AI in the classroom, but about plagiarism with students and how does it change the classroom from a student perspective. And just like everything else we talked about, really encourage, it takes that critical thinking, that process. But I will say, one of the things that we cannot avoid, we cannot pretend like we live in the world where our students are not using these tools. They absolutely are. So I believe that we should be teaching our students how to use these tools effectively, talking about them. That way, at least maybe they can be a little bit afraid that we actually know what we're talking about, as opposed to that they can just kind of try everything. And also
100% go with Scott. Like, I mean, I would make one day of my class be hey, here's some AI tools, you go create some stuff. So if you give them some freedom, so to speak, then they'll know that I just feel like you need to bring them into the party.
Yep. Absolutely. But it is definitely something to be cognizant of, have a conversation of, be aware of it. And this is where monitoring tools like maybe a Go Guardian or LineWise or Securely, something like that, might help that teacher have a little bit additional layer of monitoring the student activity while they're in it in the classroom doing those tasks. But absolutely awesome. I absolutely love presenting with you, wonderful ladies. I hope that everyone who came today got something out of it. And please, if there's something you guys want to hear about in these webinars as we're talking about it, please do not hesitate to let us know. We are all ears. So thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Scott and Kristen.
Thank you. Y'all have a great week.
Have an awesome week.
Almost the weekend.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Ready.
That sounds great.
My cat woke up at the very end of this and started trying to walk across my keyboard. So I'm glad she waited until the end. Did you see me throw her off?
It just adds some flair. I did not see it because I was trying to find my screen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.